Hey guys, got a bit of a meme build to show. It's not very viable for tier 16. You can do tier 16 maps with this, but it's not really. It's kind of a meme build. And this is a Wormblaster. If you don't know what Wormblaster is, essentially you are using Writhing Jars to do something, either to explode and do damage in some way. So this is using a Herald of Ice. And I am essentially spawning a bunch of worms, and then a Herald of Ice chain explodes and overlaps against single target. That is the idea. It kind of works for clear as well, because I was trying to get enough AoE for Herald of Ice to chain explode multiple rooms, but it really needs a lot of juiced up maps and tightly packed together monsters for that to happen. So for the most part, it doesn't even clear all that amazingly well. And for single target, you need I believe at least 1.7 meter radius to overlap explosions. I have 1.8 just to be sure, and I would probably like to get even a bit more just to be sure, like double sure, because some monsters can just be slightly bit off center or sometimes not in the right spot and just don't take as much damage. Now, this has pretty cool mechanics, and the way it works is essentially I'm using Mother's Embrace belt, which says your minions use your flask when summoned. So when you summon a minion, they're gonna use all of your flasks, including Worm Flask. And the cool part is that when you summon skeletons like far away from yourself, the worms gonna come out from the skeletons. So it's not gonna come out from you, which makes targeting and like overlapping against bosses much simpler. So Mother's Embrace, a bunch of Writhing Jars, summon skeletons with the cast wall channeling. I'm gonna explain why. Well, actually, there's like no particular reason. It's just I'm doing multiple things with the cast wall channeling. And then obviously get enough flash sustain. Getting enough flash sustain for Writhing Jar is very easy because they are counted both as life and mana flash, and there are a lot of nodes on the passive skill tree that gives flash generation for life or for mana or for both. And then the final point is Shatter tattoos. They are like very cheap and you only need 10. Each tattoo will give you killing blows have 10% chance to shatter enemies as though frozen, and that is required for the Herald of Ice to proc explosion. So the worms normally wouldn't really explode unless you crit or freeze them, but with this all you need is 10 tattoos, and then I can do this in a high road as well. Okay, there's one more thing. Death Rush. Recover 5% of life on kill. Anything that is on kill also is really nice with this, because you can also generate frenzy, power, endurance charges on kill because you are killing a bunch of worms. Onslaught on kill as well from the boots. There are other things that you could figure out. So Death Rush also kind of has 100% uptime on adrenaline, because you're always killing. You always have, as soon as adrenaline expires, you get another kill, you get adrenaline back. And adrenaline gives, I believe, 100% increased generic damage, a bit more cast speed, movement speed as well, damage reduction, physical damage reduction. So Death Rush works really well with this. And then the last part is just scaling Herald of Ice damage. Now, this is running a Lone Messenger from the Calamitous Vision unique small cluster jewel, which disables all the other auras, including Skitterboards, sadly. But it does give 100% more damage with Herald skills. But you can only have one Herald. I am actually using 2 large cluster jewels and 4 medium jewels. This is for the flash sustain and to scale my Herald AoE as much as possible for the overlaps to happen. And to scale Herald damage is actually pretty difficult. Heralds don't really scale very well with levels. We are not spells. Anything added damage to spells is not going to work. Crit chances for spells is not going to work. We don't have a base critical strike chance. You could go for elemental overload as well by getting medium cluster jewels that give a bit of crit chance. I tried it with 1% critical strike chance. It was not enough. You need more than 1. 2% probably would be enough to sustain elemental overload. But to scale their damage is actually pretty difficult, so I'm even using Annihilating Light, which deals triple damage with elemental skills. And then just the usual, like just getting increased damage, getting penetration, getting exposure, using Pandemonius amulet, using one of the Circle of Fear rings, which actually is not that good because you don't really benefit from the Herald buff effect as much, because the only Herald buff effect that grants you something for the Herald of Ice itself is quality buff grants 15% increased cold damage at 20 quality. That is it. Buff effect is not really very useful for this. So like overall it's not that amazing, the damage. Currently I have the damage 228,000 average hit damage from Herald of Ice, like one explosion. The amount of worms that I spawn, one skeleton, you summon 2 skeletons with low levels summon skeleton. It summons 2 skeletons and it uses your all of your flasks twice because you summon 2 skeletons. So you also need to balance your flask charges used to be no more than 10 flash charges used. That way you can proc skeleton skill twice. Summon 4 skeletons to drain your flash charges completely. That way you summon 40 worms. So you can actually even use high level summon skeletons and just with one proc drain all of the flash charges. That could be more useful for bigger bosses, but for mapping that would not be as good because you don't want big downtime, because there is the downtime is 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds you refill your flash charges completely, but that actually only happens when I am close to a unique enemy. PoB also, the Morbus Embrace doesn't recognize flash being used by minions, so I modified it to just give you reduced flash charges used. And getting reduced flash charges used on the passive skill tree, actually now I think maybe it doesn't. Because Path of Building says that I am consuming 8 charges, but I am actually consuming 10 charges. Wait a minute, maybe this doesn't work. Actually yes, I think reduce flash charges used doesn't work with this method when minions use the flasks. So now that I think about it, yeah, you don't really need reduced flash charges used because it won't work for minion users. But I don't really see what else I could lose here. The main things you want, like this one, mana flask gain 1 charge every 3 seconds. This one, life flask gain 1 charge every 3 seconds. These two as well, for life and mana, and then this one for both life and mana. The mastery here, the Pantheon power from this one, I did test it. It does also get extra free charges every 3 seconds in addition. Then medium jewels for fasting, increased flash charges gained. You basically want increased flash charges gained. And also this one, which just straight up gives an extra 1 charge every 3 seconds. The more you have increased flash charges gained, it multiplies that the flat amount of charges that you gain every 3 seconds. You could run 4 charges, but remember that your minions going to be using your flasks. So there's no like real guaranteed way of using a flask for yourself. So I cannot really have Quicksilver, so it's also kind of slow. But you do get extra 20% movement speed from these. This one 10%, this one as well 10%, because you are under no flask effect. Minions use your flask. You do not use the flask. So you also cannot benefit from mastery that says like recover 4% life and use a flask. That doesn't work. So anything that says when you use charges won't work because you are not using charges. You are not using flasks. All the recovery essentially is from the Death Rush. Because I'm running with the Annihilating Light, it was actually pretty challenging to cap resistances. But it could be capped easier by using the tattoos that give all elemental resistances on the dex nodes, because you don't really need dex. The other cluster jewel, actually you probably would want to place it here instead of going here, because here you can also with a couple more levels get this node, which if enemies are chill for 10 seconds you would get an extra 10% more damage. But what kind of enemies would survive for 10 seconds? You're probably gonna be fighting an enemy that is too strong for you to deal with anyway. And also to apply chill, I'm using the cold snap because elemental focus just gives a lot of damage, so I cannot really replace it. The chill is also needed for hypothermia, so I tried using bone chill, but I wasn't really chilling strong enemies for enough, I guess. You would want large cluster jewel in here probably, and this is the same jewel with the widespread destruction for AoE and prismatic heart for elemental resistances. And then for the medium jewels I am using dark messenger, very important, the 25% increased AoE, and also this one, empowered envoy, because it just straight up gives 40% health damage. And this build does not have a lot of increased damage, so getting increased damage is actually pretty important. And I am using 2 of these. I am using Forbidden Jewel, Inquisitor. That was cheap. I think I didn't even pay 1 divine for both of those. You just get elemental damage and some more penetration. And then on like normal jewels, you cap your resistances with normal jewels. Corrupting Blood is actually very annoying, so make sure you have at least 1 jewel. And yeah, turns out I don't really need this, it seems. But I actually need to test that. The way I'm testing is actually I just get like Raging Spirit and I check how many flasks I use when I summon Raging Spirit. I don't click on the flask, I use on the Raging Spirit. So you see, I use 10. I use 10 flask charges. By the way, for the Writhing Jar, you need at least 16% reduced charges per use. You don't need 20. You don't need like any other number. At least 16%. Because if you get 15%, it's gonna cost 17 or more than 16 charges per use. 16 is the minimum. With 20 reduced, it will still be 16 charges used. Actually, if I get 40% Mother's Embrace, a perfect one, and Writhing Jar that is at least 16%, then I do consume 9 charges instead of 10. So keep that in mind. If I refund this now, will I still be using 10 charges? I am. So it seems reduced flash charges used is useless. So yeah, I was actually missing life. I'm not gonna be leveling this because this is a meme. It's not really doing enough damage to deal with bigger bosses. One of the flasks recovers faster. There's some kind of a bit inconsistency. It's probably because with this I only use like 9 charges, and with others that's really weird. Why is that? This one is 19 reduced flash charges used, and this one is 18%. I guess there is some kind of rounding difference that is not displayed but is actually in effect. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Once again, I don't really have a plan for my next build, so if you got some interesting build ideas, as always, leave them in the comments below. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.